And then the waitress said what? And leave show business?
Oh, you know, General, when you and I first met earlier this evening, you told the same joke, but it was a singing telegram girl.
On the way over here, he told it to me, and it was a stewardess.
My friends at my age, I'm lucky if I can remember why I just walked into a room.
And how was your flight from the mainland?
Apart from the turbulence, it was fine, thank you. The storm visible in the distance looked quite nasty.
Yes, we're very lucky you were all able to arrive safely ahead of it. Gentlemen and ladies, our final guests have just arrived, but I regret that your host, Mr. Owen, is unfortunately delayed. Per his instructions, however, dinner will still be served promptly at 8, with or without him. Mr. Lombard, would you care for a drink?
Well, yes, a gin and tonic would be nice.
Everyone else is right here. Gentlemen and ladies, this is Miss Vera Claythorne. I'll let you make your own introductions. I've got to get back to the kitchen. Will there be anything else, miss?
Oh, no, thank you.
Please don't hesitate to ring if you need anything. I might be busy in the kitchen, but either myself or my husband will see you get what you need.
You're both most kind, Mrs. Rogers. Oh, just now come to think of it, I was wondering. Did Mrs. Owen leave me any instructions? I expect you would have been hired as your personal secretary.
I'm sorry, miss. I don't know anything. We were only given a list of the ladies and gentlemen invited for the weekend and what rooms they were to have. Why, I wasn't even left with dinner instructions. But the pantry and refrigerator were both very well stocked, and lucky for you all, I can make a meal out of anything.
Odd that Mrs. Owen didn't mention me at all.
Actually, we haven't seen Mr. and Mrs. Owen yet. We only arrived 2 days ago ourselves. Before you all arrived here today, we haven't seen a single soul on the island.
So, no other staff?
Just myself and Rogers, but don't you worry, miss, we'll manage. My Thomas is as handy about the house as I am in the kitchen.
If your wife's the cook and the maid, what does that make you, Rogers?
The butler, sir.
And what do you do?
I buttle, sir.
Which means?
I manage the first floor living areas. I also serve dinner and drinks.
A staff of 2 for a house this size. That might explain why your dozen roses here is short by 2.
I'm sorry?
10 roses, it's true, but it's not an oversight. You see, the name of the island is Zehnrosen. German for 10 roses, so it's quite not an oversight, no doubt.
Well, that solves that little mystery.
Does it? Owen isn't a German name.
Irish, I believe.
It's likely the Owens weren't the original owners of the house.
Thank goodness we have you to answer all of our questions, Mr. Davis.
Whatever the case is, the Owens certainly take the island's name to heart. Listen to this ghastly little poem I just found. 10 little roses went out to dine. 1 choked himself, and then there were 9. 9 little roses sat up very late. 1 overslept, and then there were 8. 8 little roses traveling to heaven. 1 broke his crown, and there were 7. 7 little roses chopping up sticks. 1 chopped himself, and then there were 6. 6 little roses playing with a hive. A bee stung 1, and then there were 5. 5 little roses go through the door. 1 stayed behind, and then there were 4. 4 little roses going out to sea. A herring swallowed 1, and then there were 3. 3 little roses walking in the zoo. A bear hugged 1, and then there were 2. 2 little roses having their fun. 1 was picked, and then there was 1. 1 little rose left all alone. He shot himself, and then there were none.
That storm seems to be getting closer.
It makes me nervous. I don't think a secluded island is a good place to be in a storm.
Yes, that's true. The Olivers must not have many visitors.
Oliver, did you say?
Yes, Oliver.
But Owen's the name of our tardy host.
I've never met anyone called Owen in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will permit me, your host, Mr. Owen, left specific instructions for once you all had arrived. He left each of you a letter. You were each to read them aloud, in turn, taking care to read them in their entirety and with unfaltering accuracy. He is also instructed that no interruptions or distractions are to take place once the first envelope is unsealed. until the 9th letter, the final letter, has been read in its entirety.
Just what's the meaning of this, Rogers?
I don't know the contents of the envelope, sir. There was even one left for myself and Mrs. Rogers.
Well, shall we say ladies first?
Well, I'm not used to gifts from strange men, but I'll go first. Dr. Elizabeth Gray Armstrong, you are charged with causing the death of Louisa Mary Cleves.
How dare you?
That's what it says, I swear.
Please, I must insist. No interruptions or discussions until the final letter has been read.
Well, now see here, Rogers.
Mr. Davis, please. Dr. Armstrong, would you read your letter next?
Certainly. Emily Caroline Brent, you are responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor.
Well, I'm fascinated.
Goodness, this evening has gotten more interesting.
Mrs. Brent, would you mind?
William Henry Bloor, you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor.
Philip Lombard, you're guilty of the death of 21 men, members of a West African military detachment.
General John Gordon Curry, you deliberately sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death.
Anthony James Marston, you're guilty of the murder of John and Jessica Fletcher.
Eileen Jane Wargrave, you're guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton.
Thomas and Ethel Rogers, you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. No worries. She's fainted, that's all. I'm sure she'll come around in a minute.
Dear,
Brandy.
Ethel.
What?
Her name is Ethel.
No, I mean get her some brandy.
Oh, good idea. Is someone going to get her some brandy?
You said you served the drinks.
Oh, please, I'll get it.
It says, Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, you killed Cyril Oliver Hamilton.
Just what kind of a game is this Mr. Owen up to, anyway?
Think it's a game, do you?
What else could it be?
At the moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
Here for this.
Ethel! It's all right, dear. Can you stand?
You'll be all right. Just a nasty shock.
Oh, doctor, did I faint?
Yes, dropped like a stone.
I'm sorry, I haven't had anything to eat today, and that letter, it gave me a fright.
Of course it did. It gave me one too. Wicked lies. All of it.
I'd like to know what you're up to, Rogers.
Me?
Yes, you delivered the envelopes.
But I didn't know their contents. Before God, I didn't know what they were, ma'am. If I had, I would have handed them out.
Is there something you're not telling us, Rogers?
I was just obeying orders, ma'am. That's all.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens. I was to deliver the envelopes along with his instructions.
Owen's orders.
Yes.
You were obeying Owen's orders.
His official orders, yes.
You were obeying Owen's official orders.
On my honor.
On your honor, you were obeying Owen's official orders?
Obviously. Awfully convenient, if you ask me.
I think you mean awfully?
Awfully convenient, if you ask me.
But the truth, sir. I swear it.
The whole thing is preposterous. Preposterous. Slinging accusations about like this. This fellow Owen, whoever he is.
Well, that's just it. Who is he? I don't know him.
Nor I.
Obviously, this all warrants further discussion. Rogers, I suggest you get your wife up to bed, then return here straight away.
Yes, of course, ma'am.
Here, I'll help.
Here. Give her 1 teaspoon of this, a remedy of my own creation. It should help her sleep.
Thank you, doctor.
Told him not to take this job here, miss. I knew there was trouble. It's all too strange. A solitary house on an island in the middle of nowhere. Mysterious instructions. Why, we don't even need that, Mr. Owen's money.
Now, Ethel. That's enough of that talk.
Well, I don't know about you, but I could use another drink. Anyone else?
So, how about it then? Does anyone know this Owen character? So, none of us have actually met this Mr. Owen, but each of us blindly accepted a dinner invitation from him this evening?
I didn't.
You weren't invited by Owen?
No, I was encouraged to come by a third party.
She's asleep.
Good. I'm sure she'll be right as rain in the morning.
Now, Rogers, who is this Mr. Owen, and what do you know about him?
Only that he hired myself and my wife, and that he rented the island for the weekend. But as for the gentleman's personality or intentions, I don't know. I've never met him.
You mean you work for a man you've never met?
We've only been here just under a week, sir. We were engaged by letter through an agency, the Regina Agency in Springfield.
I know that agency. It's been around quite a while. I used to hire from it.
Do you still have that letter?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so keep going. You were engaged by letter.
We were told to arrive on a certain day, which we did. I know, because I was there. We were told to make arrangements to receive and welcome you all, which we did. I know, because I was there. We were told to make certain the house was clean and prepared for 8 guests, which we did. I know,
Because you were there!
And then just today, I got another letter. It was from Mr. Owen. It was the instructions about dinner and the envelope.
You have to have kept that letter.
Yes, ma'am, right here.
Got some fancy names. Ulysses Norman Owen, that's quite a mouthful.
Ulysses Norman, Curious. I think it's time each of us share any and all information we have regarding our host.
Fine, I'll start. I have nothing to hide. I've also never met this Owen person. In fact, when I got my invitation, the signature was difficult to read and I thought it said Ogden or Oliver.
May I see that letter?
Of course.
Thank you. Miss Claythorne?
I was hired to be Mrs. Owen's secretary. Hired through my agency.
The same agency as Rogers here. What was it?
The Regina Agency, sir.
No, it was a different agency.
Marston, did you get a letter?
No, and old pal of mine, Berkeley, asked me to come up as a guest at the Owens.
Dr. Armstrong?
I was asked here in a professional capacity. I received a letter from Mr. Owen asking that I come spend the weekend, posing as a guest, but in fact to observe Mrs. Owen's health, which supposedly was in some state of deterioration.
General Curry?
I received a letter from Owen mentioning some mutual friends, but I didn't bring that letter with me.
Lombard?
Same thing. A friendly invitation mentioning common acquaintances.
So, each of us received a vague invitation of some kind to spend the weekend at the home of a total stranger. Then upon arrival, we are presented with envelopes containing various accusations against each of us, with the exception of a William Henry Bloor, who is not among us.
Just a moment. I don't recall a Davis being mentioned in any of the letters.
He's right.
Well, I suppose the jig is up. Davis isn't my real name. It's William Henry Bloor. I'm a private investigator. I was hired by Owen to come down to the party and watch you all. He claimed one of you was a thief and targeting some priceless jewels belonging to Mrs. Owen, but now I wonder if there are any jewels or any such person as this Owen at all.
Or a Mrs. Owen.
I think all your suspicions are justified, and I don't think our host is who he said he was.
Why do you think that?
The initials on all our letters are UN Owen.
What's so peculiar about that?
UN Owen. UN Un Owen Unowen.
Unknown!
Precisely.
A pseudonym.
And not a particularly clever one at that.
Well, whoever this Owen fellow is, he knows enough about us to make personal accusations. Very personal accusations about our character.
Indeed. Our unknown friend has accused me of murdering Edward Seaton. I prosecuted the trial of one Edward Seaton. I remember the case very well. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he was executed. My conscience is clear. Justice was done.
Did you know Seaton before the case?
I did not.
I'd like to tell you all about that child, Cyril Hamilton. I was his governess. The Hamilton property was right on the shore. We were on the beach one day and he was playing in the shallow water. I was distracted and he moved further out. By the time he started screaming, he was being pulled out by the riptide. I couldn't get to him in time. It was awful. But it wasn't my fault. At the inquest, the coroner exonerated me. And his mother was so kind, she didn't blame me, not at all.
It's all right, dear. I suspect we are all innocent of the crimes alleged in those envelopes. Why, there's no truth in these accusations against myself and young Arthur Richmond. He was one of my best officers. I sent him on a reconnaissance mission. He was killed in action. A casualty of war, plain and simple.
Well, I, for one, don't mind exposing myself.
Hey, please, there are ladies present.
About those troops. The story's true. I left them. It was a matter of self-preservation. We were lost in the jungle, I took the remaining food, and left on my own.
You abandoned them?
I freely admit that I'm no saint, General.
A coward, if you ask me.
I didn't ask.
Look at me!
John and Jessica Fletcher are a couple of kids I hit on the highway a few years back. Bad luck.
For them or for you?
For me, but for them as well. There was a police investigation and it was deemed an accident. They were drinking and driving recklessly and veered into my lane. I had my license revoked for a year though because I also had alcohol in my system. One drink, one lousy drink. Anyway, it wasn't my fault.
If I may just say a word, sir.
Go ahead, Rogers.
There was a mention, sir, of Mrs. Roger and me, and a Miss Brady.
Brandy.
I thought it was Ethel.
No, I need another brandy.
Miss Brady was our most recent employer. We worked for her for 6 years until her death. She was always in poor health. One night she took a turn. It was a night much like tonight. I went for the doctor myself, on foot. But he didn't get to her in time. Devoted to her, that's what we were. Anyone will tell you the same thing. There was never a word said against us. Not a word.
I don't suppose you came into anything after her death?
Miss Miss Brady left us a legacy in recognition of our faithful services. And why not, I'd like to know.
So that's why she said you didn't need Mr. Owen's money.
What about you, William Henry Bloor? You brought about the death of...
James Stephen Landor?
Landor was a bank robber. I was the detective in charge of his case. He was a small, frail man, around 50. He protested his innocence until the very end, but the jury convicted him on evidence. Solid evidence.
Yes, I remember that case. Landor got a life sentence and died in a penitentiary a year later. He was a fragile man.
He was a crook.
You were complimented, I think, on your handling of the case?
I got my promotion, but I was only doing my duty.
Yes, well, I think when push comes to shove, we can all say we were doing our duty. What is so funny?
I'll tell you later. It's disgusting.
What about you, doctor? What was your little professional mistake? Selling kidneys on the black market?
I must admit, I'm at a complete loss. The name, what was it, Close? It means nothing to me. I can't really remember having a patient of that name or being connected with the death in any way whatsoever.
Well, no physician could be expected to remember all her patients.
No, of course not.
And it's not uncommon that when a patient dies, to blame the doctor.
Yes, that's true.
Are you waiting for me to say something? I have nothing to hide.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So you admit you are responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor?
Responsible? In the broadest definition of the word, perhaps. But I'm not a murderer.
Self-defense.
I don't need a defense of any kind. My conscience is clear, though I'm not sure the rest of you can say the same.
Are you free rest there then? Now, Mr. Rogers, who else is there on this island besides the 9 of us and your wife?
No one, ma'am. I'm certain of it.
My friends, I am not yet clear as the purpose of our unknown host in assembling us here, but it is my opinion that this person, whoever he may be, is not sane in the accepted sense of the word. He may be dangerous. It is my opinion that we should leave this place as soon as possible.
I beg your pardon, but there's no way for us to leave the island.
What?
The last seaplane left immediately after dropping off Miss Claythorne.
Is there no boat?
No, ma'am.
How do you communicate with the mainland?
Well, Mr. Narracott comes up from the mainland every morning to deliver groceries and take orders. Or in the event an emergency arises.
I think this qualifies.
Isn't there a phone in this house?
Of course there's a phone.
Well, why didn't you say so?
I'm worried about my wife, ma'am. I'm sorry. I can place a call to the boathouse on the mainland and they will fetch Mr. Narracott without delay.
You better get to it, Rogers.
Very good, sir.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'd like to figure out a few more pieces of this puzzle before we leave. I mean, it's like one of those murder mystery novels. It's quite thrilling, if you ask me.
Nobody asked you.
I don't know what's so thrilling about what's going on here. I mean, it's not a murder mystery. No one's been murdered here. No one's died here.
Michael, get off me!
Help me! Help me!
Yet, no one's died here. Yet.
Is he dead?
If he's not dead, he's very relaxed.
What do we do?
Is there a doctor in the house?
Aren't you a doctor?
I need a sober doctor!
He's dead.
Dead? Do you mean that he just choked and died?
I've never heard of anyone choking on brandy.
In the midst of life, we are in death.
Maybe the brandy was poisoned.
I had to stop her from screaming. No!
What do you say, Doc?
It's possible, but I can't say for sure. Many poisons are odorless. There's no way to know.
Unless she dies too.
How many of you drank the brandy tonight?
So the brandy couldn't have been poisoned?
Doctor! Doctor!
What is it?
It's my wife, Doctor. I can't get her to wait.
My God!
Let me take a look.
Thank you.
Hey, not the cognac, just in case.
Just in case of what?
My God, would you all stop that?
What's wrong with Mr. Marston?
He's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead?
Marston was a woman?
Doctor. My Ethel?
I'm sorry, Rogers. She's gone.
I'm so sorry.
Now we have 2 deaths on our hands.
But how? People don't normally just die of shock, do they?
Rogers, had your wife been ill at all of late?
No, she's been a picture of health. We both are. In fact, you're the first doctor we've even seen in years.
So there's no reason to believe she suffered from any kind of heart trouble?
No, no reason at all.
Headaches? Insomnia?
She had her restless nights.
Did she ever take anything to make her sleep?
No, nothing. In fact, what you gave her tonight was the first medicine she'd taken in years.
What are you all looking at me like that for? I'm a doctor, with no motive to do a total stranger harm.
May I suggest for now that we remove poor Mr. Marston's remains from the room? Seems a bit ghastly in the presence of ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Rogers, would you be so kind as to...
Certainly, sir. There is a rear entrance in the kitchen with no carpet or furniture that might be soiled. It seems the place.
Very good. Get to it.
How awful. 2 deaths.
And both causes of death unknown.
Well, we know the Marston fellow was poisoned.
Certainly, but by whom and why? And what of Mrs. Rogers? What was the cause of her death?
It's impossible to say without an autopsy. I have no idea of the woman's true state of health.
But you heard Rogers. He said she was healthy.
Rogers could be lying.
Indeed, only an autopsy could provide the answer.
She was a very nervous-looking creature, and she had had quite a shock. It might have been heart failure.
Well, her heart certainly stopped beating.
Did she have anything to eat or drink after she went up to bed?
Just the medicine Dr. Armstrong gave Rogers for her and some tea to wash it down.
You gave her the medicine?
No, her husband gave it to her. I got her the tea.
What reason would Rogers have to lie about his wife's health?
Are you suggesting she was murdered?
Why would her husband want to murder her?
You're not married, are you?
No one is suggesting anyone was murdered.
Marston would disagree with you.
If you ask me, Rogers is murder suspect number 1. We all heard the accusation letter, how they did away with the old lady. I think we all know, statistically speaking, that in this situation, a woman is more likely to have a change of heart. A man, he'll just lie, but a woman cannot ignore her conscience. And if she gets cold feet, if she goes to pieces, he knows it's his ass in the electric chair. So he slips something into her cup of tea and shuts her mouth. Permanently.
I like her. I really like her.
It may be so, but I don't think it's possible for someone to do that to his wife, no matter how guilty she is.
When a man's hide is in danger, he doesn't stop much to think about sentiment.
I remember a quote that hung in my nursery wall as a child. The wicked man flees when no one pursueth. Proverbs.
No thanks, I'm good.
With apologies, I'm afraid there's more bad news.
Dinner is canceled.
Mr. Lombard, please. Go on.
The phone line seems to be down. No doubt a result of the increasingly bad weather. I'm afraid there's no way to reach the mainland, or Mr. Narcod.
I don't believe this.
It's true, sir.
I'm sure it is. But this is no coincidence, that's what I'm starting to think.
You're not the only one with suspicions, Mr. Bloor.
No.
Of course not. 8 strangers trapped on a remote island during a powerful storm. All communication cut off, and 2 mysterious deaths within minutes of one another? No. I don't think we're leaving this island tonight, or ever for that matter. I think it's the end of everything.
Over here. We can't all start losing our heads. I don't know about you, but it will take a lot more than some bad weather and a dead telephone
And 2 murders.
and 2 deaths to knock me off my feet.
Yes, me too. I feel quite sane at the moment. Why, no man's gotten the better of me yet.
How about a woman?
Once, it was terrifying.
Zehnrosen
Miss
Island.
Claiborne.
There were 10 roses in this vase, but now there are only 8.
What?
Rogers, are you certain there's no one else on the island?
No, sir.
Then there is someone else on the island.
Apologies, I said no, meaning yes.
So there isn't anyone else on the island?
Yes, meaning no.
Rogers, I just want a clear answer. Is there anyone else on the island, yes or no?
No, sir.
No, there is, or no, there isn't.
If you're going to keep doing that, I'm going to need a drink.
I wouldn't drink anything set out on that bar.
I'm sorry, but there seems to be some confusion as to whether or not there is anyone else on the island.
I assure you, sir, there's not.
There isn't any confusion, or there isn't anyone on the island.
Both.
Just give me a clear answer.
Certainly, sir. What was the question?
Is there anyone else on the island? No!
There's a simple way to solve this matter. We searched the island. It's not terribly big and mostly bare rock. Not many places for a person to hide. I suggest we all split into pairs. Rogers and General Curry search the house. Dr. Armstrong and Detective Bloor search the north side of the island. Mr. Lombard and myself, south. Mrs. Brent, you and Miss Claythorne remain here and keep watch in this room.
Fine with me. I'm quite comfortable where I am.
We will all meet back here when we've completed our search. Agreed?
There are umbrellas outside on the porch.
Excellent. What about flashlights?
Of course, yes. I'll fetch them.
Rogers and his wife killed that old lady?
Actually, I'm sure of it. I participated in some amateur theatrics, and I can tell you that fainting spell was no performance. She was truly shocked by our guilt being brought to light.
Amateur theatrics, anything I would know?
Last winter, I appeared in No No Nanette.
Oh, did you play Nanette?
No No.
Anyway, about Mrs. Rogers, I agree. The way she looked like she was scared of her own shadow. She must have always been haunted by the guilty.
I remember another quote that hung in my nursery as a child. Be sure thy sin will find thee out.
But Mrs. Brent, what about the others? All the other accusations, they couldn't all be true.
Well, that Mr. Lombard admitted to sending 21 men to their deaths. Of course, some of the other accusations were a little less black and white. The attorney, Wargrave, for instance. She was only doing her duty, and so was the private investigator.
Flora.
Yes, Flora. And as for me,
What about you, Mrs. Brent?
I didn't want to get into the details before, especially in the presence of gentlemen.
Oh?
Beatrice Taylor was one of my housekeepers. On the surface, a well-mannered, respectable young lady. But that was just an act. It was some time before I found out she was in trouble. Naturally, I could not keep a sinner on my roof and sent her away. Then the scandalous creature, not content with one sin on her conscience, committed one still graver. She took her own life.
How awful! And you felt no responsibility for her suicide?
Me? What on earth do I have myself to blame for?
Well, none of us are perfect.
Speak for yourself.
I'm just saying.
If she had behaved well, none of it would have ever happened. Mrs. Rogers' sins no doubt caught up to her in the same way. And for all we know, Mr. Marston also had a questionable past, and that's why he choked to death.
Choked. Ten little roses went out to dine. One choked himself, and then there were 9. 9 little roses sat up very late. 1 overslept, and then there were 8. 8 roses! It fits too well to be a coincidence. Marston dies of choking. Then Mrs. Rogers dies while sleeping. While oversleeping.
I think Rogers was right. Nothing on the north side of the island.
And no boats?
We checked the dock and the boathouse. Nothing.
And the phone line's most definitely out.
Sounds like someone wants Zehnrosen Island isolated until the storm has passed.
So there's no one else on this island.
I assure you, if someone is, then he's either invisible or quite adept at hide and seek.
Where did you get that?
From my coat in the coat. It was my mother's. I never go anywhere without it.
Probably not a bad thing to have handy. If there's a madman hiding out on this island, the chances of him being armed and dangerous are quite good.
Not necessarily. Many lunatics are quiet, unassuming people who abhor violence. Some of them are quite delightful, even.
You seem to have quite an admiration for them, Doctor.
No, Mrs. Brent, the doctor is right, but I don't think our lunatic is the quiet, unassuming type.
If you'll permit me, Doctor, the General seems to be not himself since we left to search the house.
Yes. Perhaps we could do with a bit of refreshment, Rogers. Help us keep our wits about us.
Very good, ma'am. I can fetch some unopened bottles from the cellar.
General?
There is so little time. So little time. I really must insist that no one disturb me.
Is something disturbing you, General?
You don't understand, not at all. Please go away.
The man's crazy. No point talking to him.
What did he say?
Something about there being no time, that he didn't want to be disturbed.
Wonder exactly how crazy he is.
Ah, it's you. You've come.
Do you like sitting here alone?
Yes, it's pleasant. It's a good place to wait.
To wait for what?
The end. But I think you know that, don't you? We're all waiting for the end.
Crazy old man should be in bed.
What do you mean we're all waiting for the end?
I mean that none of us are going to leave the island. That's the plan. You know it, I know it, they know it. Such a relief, wouldn't you say?
What do you mean relief?
The blessed relief, and you know that you've done it all. That you haven't got to carry the burden any longer. You'll feel that too someday. You see, I love Leslie. I loved her very much.
Was Leslie your wife?
Yes, my wife. She was so pretty, so happy. I loved her so much. That's why I did it.
You mean
He was having an affair with my Leslie. That's why I sent Richmond to his death. I suppose in a way it was murder, but it didn't seem like that at the time. I had no regrets. Serves him right, that's what I thought. I don't know if Leslie ever realized what I had done. I don't think so. But she was so unhappy after that. And then she died, and I was alone.
Alone.
You'll be glad too when the end comes.
Glad? I don't know what you mean.
I know, my child. I know.
You don't. You don't know at all.
Leslie?
Speaking of crazy, something about that Lombard guy doesn't sit right with me.
What about him?
I don't know yet, but I don't trust him an inch.
What are we whispering about?
Moore doesn't trust Lombard.
Actually, I'm not sure if I trust any of you.
That's smart. Any one of us could be lying about anything we said tonight.
True. For all we know, you might be Owen.
If I were Owen, why would I hire myself to come to a party to look for suspects in a jewel heist that may or may not happen?
You wouldn't. But if you were, you'd certainly lie about being hired to look for suspects in a jewel heist that may or may not happen.
How do I know you aren't Owen?
Do I look like an Owen?
You could be Mrs. Owen.
She could never be Mrs. Owen.
Why couldn't I be Mrs. Owen?
Well, you don't look like a Mrs. Owen.
What do I look like then?
You look like a Gretchen.
I do not look like a Gretchen. You take that back.
What's wrong with the name Gretchen? My sister's name's Gretchen.
You three do realize we all can hear you, right? Right. Now let's get back to the matter at hand, shall we?
Okay. Let's stick to the facts. We've searched the island from top to bottom, and there's no one on the island except for the 8 of us. Agreed? And can we also agree that, while tragic, there is zero evidence of any foul play with regard to the deaths of Mrs. Rogers and Mr. Marston?
No, I do not agree with that. I'm a doctor, a very good doctor, and I know Marston's death wasn't accidental.
And what about Mrs. Rogers? I mean, for all we know, that medicine Dr. Armstrong gave her wasn't medicine at all.
Yes, I mean, no, it was a completely harmless sedative.
Well, how many medicines do you have with you? Is it possible that you gave Rogers the wrong bottle to give to his wife on accident?
I didn't. The suggestion is ridiculous. Or are you suggesting that I gave her the wrong medicine on purpose?
You have been drinking all afternoon.
Doctors can't afford to make mistakes. I did not make a mistake.
It wouldn't be the first you've made if that letter is to be believed.
Oh, stop being such a bully, Glor.
And Lombard, I have questions for you too.
For me,
Yes, why would you bring a revolver down on a pleasant social visit?
I brought it because I suspected to run into a spot of trouble.
Suspected? You knew there would be trouble?
I didn't know, I said I suspected. Oh, thank you.
Now that he's unarmed, I think Lombard has something he'd like to get off his chest. Don't you, Lombard?
All right. When I said I was asked here in the same way as most of you, well, that's not quite true. In fact, I was approached by a guy named Moss.
Approached by letter?
No, in person. He offered me $100 to come down here and keep my eyes open. That's all. Things have been rough lately, so I took the $100 and the job.
Why didn't you tell us that when all this began?
Because I wasn't sure which of you I could trust. But now I'm certain we're all in the same boat. That $100 was just a trap to get me here along with the rest of you. And yes, a trap. 2 deaths, disappearing roses, phone lines down. Oh yes, Mr. Owen's hand is plainly to be seen. But where is Mr. Owen himself?
Oh my God! Everybody, stay still! It's touching me!
Sorry!
Perhaps the lights will come back on.
The General!
Doctor? Is he dead?
He's been struck with something on the back of the head. No pulse.
Well, I guess we can rule out heart failure or choking this time.
I think we can also rule out coincidence.
You mean
Murder. That's right. Murder. 3 murders.
Can I have my gun back?
No!
I think our primary concern right now should be Mr. Owen.
But we searched the house and the island.
And there's no one else on the island. Which leads to only one possible conclusion. That Mr. Owen is one of us.
How can you be certain of that?
Let's look at the facts. Of the 10 people who came to this island, 3 are most definitely exonerated. Is there anyone whom any of us can definitely eliminate from suspicion based on the evidence in our possession?
I think we can rule out Rogers.
On what grounds?
He handed out the envelopes, and his wife died. It seems to me this Owen isn't so stupid as to draw so much obvious attention to himself.
In my experience, it is not uncommon for murderers to make stupid decisions and implicate themselves in the process.
So you're saying Rogers is stupid enough to be Owen?
I still say poison is the most likely cause of 2 of the deaths tonight. The good doctor here is traveling with plenty of medicines that could do the trick.
Well, we know that the brandy wasn't poisoned before it was poured, so it's likely that Marston's glass was targeted.
And Mrs. Rogers?
Well, Dr. Armstrong's sleeping mixture could have actually been poisoned, or Robert could have given his wife an overdose.
Or you could have poisoned her tea. None of us are beyond suspicion.
That is true. Let's retrace the events of the evening. We all arrived or were met by Rogers and Mrs. Rogers. While enjoying drinks, we were handed letters by Rogers containing various accusations against each of us. Mrs. Rogers fainted and was tended to by her husband and Dr. Armstrong. Mrs. Brent went to the bar, poured Mrs. Rogers a brandy, which she then consumed. Then, her husband, Miss Claythorne, assisted her up to bed with the doctor's supposed sedative. And then Marston began drinking his own brandy, began choking, and then died. We had suspected that all the brandy was poisoned when Mrs. Brent drank hers. Mrs. Brent! Please sit down! Mrs. Brent! Mrs. Brent! Mrs. Brent! I had to stop her from screaming. When Mrs. Brent was not affected by the brandy, we determined that it must have all been poisoned. Then Rogers came in. My wife's not waking up! Dr. Armstrong left. They came back and pronounced her dead. We then searched the island for Mr. Owen, and to make a long story short,
Too late.
when we were all trying to figure out how and why Marston and Mrs. Rogers had died, the lights went out. And that's when someone, no doubt, someone in this very room, murdered the poor old general.
Come on, go get us out of there.
Please,
Turn the
please. Sorry, didn't mean to frighten anyone.
You're a bit late for that.
Right. Who took him? Come on. Which one of you did it? What? Do you think this is funny?
None of us has moved from our position since before you turned out the lights.
I didn't do it.
Well, one of you did it. One of us? How do we know it wasn't you?
None of us could have moved him. The lights were out for less than 5 seconds. It's not physically possible.
Well, he didn't just walk out of here by himself.
So he wasn't dead?
But the doctor said...
Doctor, are you sure he was dead?
Yes, I was sure. I am sure. I mean, I think he was. I don't know.
You think you don't know?
I'm not used to being in these kinds of stressful situations.
You're a doctor.
I mean, murder situations. I am not used to murder situations.
All right. Can you say with absolute certainty that Marston and Mrs. Rogers were dead? Doctor?
What was the question?
Oh my God, Ethel.
I'll go with him to make sure, you know.
Doctor, in which hospital do you practice medicine?
Boston General?
Remind me never to get sick in Boston.
There's one thing I don't understand.
One thing?
The general said that the accusation was true. He did send his officer to his death and to bury his wife Leslie. He regretted it bitterly, but he said it was years ago. Why would this Owen, whoever he is, wait so long to punish the general?
Miss Claythorne, we're dealing with a maniac. We can neither predict nor understand his motives. We're all in great danger, and I suggest we each take no risks and be alert to danger.
You sure do seem to like calling the shots here, Miss Wargrave.
Nothing of the sort. I'm simply providing the voice of reason in this desperate hour.
Well, we're both definitely dead.
See, I told you all.
But that doesn't mean the general was.
If no one objects, I'll pour us all around with drinks.
In any case, we each have 3 crimes, and no proof of anyone's guilt or innocence, including mine. So we must all exercise extreme caution. We are all in grave danger.
It's like some awful dream. Keep hoping I'll wake up from this. It'll all have been a horrible nightmare.
So, Rogers, Miss Claythorne, and Dr. Armstrong, each are suspects in the poisoning of Mrs. Rogers. We are all suspects in the poisoning of Marston's drink and in the murdering of the general.
If he was murdered, yes, he could still be alive.
Well, this is madness. Mr. Glore, you are the professional detective amongst us. Do you have any theories?
I may have an idea, but it's a long way from being sure.
I have my own suspicions.
As do I.
Then, I propose we cast a blind ballot. It's the only way to bring to the open what we are all thinking.
Are you suggesting we vote on which one of us is Owen?
That's an inelegant way to put it, Doctor. This is simply to allow everyone to share their suspicions.
Sounds reasonable to me.
I have nothing to hide. My conscience is perfectly clear. As it said on my nursery wall as a child, blessed is he whose spirit is without deceit.
Where did you grow up? A house on Haunted Hill?
But without any evidence, are our suspicions just hearsay? It seems shameful to accuse someone of such a thing, when it can only lead to more fear and suspicion.
Consider, Miss Claythorne, if you abstain, you bring a great deal of suspicion on your own self. Fine. We will all write a name on a slip of paper. Fold it once, no more, and drop it here. Then shall be read. Then, who do we think is Mr. Owen? Mr. Lombard, one vote for you. Mr. Thorne, one vote for you. Dr. Armstrong, one vote. Rogers, one vote. Mrs. Brent, one vote. Ah, I see I haven't been neglected. One vote for me. Another vote for you, Rogers. You win.
I win? Do you mean, ma'am, that I'm being accused?
Well, it's not precisely a majority, but you do have the most votes.
But I was only doing the job I was hired to do. I'm innocent, I tell you.
Did anyone here drink the drinks Rogers just served?
You all think I've poisoned them. Bon appetit.
Oh my God, the wine!
No, I'm all right. The wine wasn't poisoned. It was just a bad year. There. Are you all happy? I'm not even supposed to drink alcohol. Not a drop, on account of my own heart condition. So I hope you're all happy.
Oh, look at us all. What have we come to?
Never in my life, miss, never in my life have I been accused of any crime or harm against another person.
What about that letter? Your former employer?
Mr. Blore, there's no need to torment the man.
We must get off this island at all costs.
With this storm rolling in and no boats on the island, we're not going anywhere tonight. And unless you plan on swimming a mile in the middle of a storm, I suggest we all retire to our rooms and get a good night's sleep.
And get murdered in my bed? No, thank you.
We will take precautions.
But there have already been 3 murders.
They were unprepared. We are not.
Each of the bedroom doors locks me inside.
You can put a chair under the handle, it'll keep anyone outside from getting in.
You cannot block out the devil.
Good night, Gentlemen, ladies, maybe I'll meet safely here again, first thing in the morning.
May I have my revolver back? It's mine, and none of the deceased were shot. I'd feel safer with it tonight. Are there any reasonable objections to my property being returned to me? Well then.
War?
How many roses are there? 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, please retire to your rooms. I'll make certain that no one plays tricks tonight.
He's not in here either.
He isn't in his room. The kettle isn't gone. The kitchen fire isn't lit. His bed's been slept in. Where the devil is he?
You don't think he's hiding somewhere? Waiting for us?
Why would he be hiding?
My advice is we stay together until we find him.
Agreed. He must be out on the island somewhere. Where's Mrs. Brent?
Have you been wandering about the house alone, Mrs. Brent? Don't you realize that's an exceedingly foolish thing to do?
Wandering? What kind of fool do you take me for? I locked the door to my room last night and didn't unlock it until not minutes ago and came straight here.
Well, did you happen to encounter Rogers along the way?
Rogers? No, I didn't see anyone until I came in here. Why?
He's missing, but he laid the dining room table for breakfast.
He might have done that last night.
Look! The roses, they're only 6.
So that means...
Rogers!
Rogers! Rogers!
Rogers!
I had to stop him from screaming.
Rogers is dead! I didn't do it.
But you're holding the axe.
Rogers is outside, chopped to bits, unrecognizable, and this was next to his body. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Sorry.
It's true. Rogers is dead.
We should split up and search the house again. Pairing up seems safest.
But one of us is the murderer, and whichever one of us is paired with him could get killed.
But then we'll know who the murderer is.
But another one of us will be dead.
Can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. Any cook will tell you that.
But look what happened to the cook.
I think before we proceed, we should all have breakfast of some sort.
Agreed. Can't properly fear for my life on an empty stomach.
I wouldn't mind stepping into the kitchen since Rogers can't.
I think it would be wise if we didn't go alone.
Well, I'm starved. I'll go if it means we get food sooner. What fool thought it was wise to kill the only servants in the house?
Now, for the matter at hand.
Right. Which one of you killed him?
Which one of us?
Well, I didn't do it. As far as Mrs. Brent and Miss Clayton are concerned, I doubt either of them would have the strength to murder Rogers with this.
You'd be surprised how little strength it takes to wield an axe.
Correct. And besides, any mentally unhinged person could possess unsuspected strength.
Well, let's split up again and check the outside.
I just realized something. When you were all out searching the island for Mr. Owen last night, did any of you notice if they keep bees on the island?
Bees?
Yes, bees. Did anyone notice any bees at all?
No. Why?
Don't you understand? It's all in the poem. 7 little roses chopping up sticks, one chopped himself, and then there were 6. That's Rogers. Then the next part. 6 little roses playing with a hive, a bee stung one, and then there were 5. So I'm asking, do they keep bees on this island?
I've made some tea. I hope you all like yours as sweet as I like mine. Mr. Lombard, how do you like yours?
I'm not thirsty.
Oh, for heaven's sake, I didn't poison the tea.
I'll go fetch the rest of breakfast. Mr. Bloor, would you like to come with me to make certain I don't tamper with the biscuits?
Of course.
Don't take it personally, Mrs. Brent. We're all under immense psychological strain here. Why don't you sit and I'll pour?
Thank you. It's delicious.
Mr. Lombard, would you care?
Fine. Yes, please. No sugar.
Now, I don't know about you three, but I was thinking our next step should be to revisit all the events leading up to this morning.
Yes, but can we discuss it after breakfast?
Oh dear.
Anything the matter?
Just a little lightheadedness. I probably drank too quickly.
Breakfast is served.
A nice untampered with breakfast.
Mrs. Brent, would you care for a biscuit? Mrs. Brent, would you care for a biscuit?
Oh no.
Mrs. Brent?
Doctor, would you do the honors? Me? I don't want to be accused again of mistakenly identifying a dead body. You're all just as capable of figuring out if she's dead or alive.
Damn it.
What?
I was positive she was the one who did it.
Well, that's one more of us acquitted.
Why would you suspect her?
Religious mania was my theory.
She did tell me she believed very strongly in the punishment of the wicked. She certainly didn't hesitate to fire her servant when she discovered she was pregnant.
Miss Claythorne, did she appear to you remorseful in any way?
None whatever. She was completely unmoved.
Hearts as hard as flint, those righteous old birds. God, I envy them.
How did she die, Doctor? She was alright when we left her.
And all right when I left her in the kitchen.
No discoloration.
Alone.
No discoloration around the mouth, so poison is unlikely. Wait, there's a small red spot on her neck, and a puncture hole. Possibly a hypodermic syringe.
Sting. A bee sting, just like in the poem.
This is not a bee sting. I'm a doctor, I know a needle mark when I see one.
So she must have been injected with poison of some kind.
Well, she was in the kitchen. Could it have happened earlier? Last night? While she slept?
It's possible, but highly unlikely. A poison injected directly into her bloodstream would take effect rapidly. If she was injected last night, she likely wouldn't have lasted until the morning. No, she was almost certainly injected in the last few minutes.
Doctor, what? Do you happen to carry a hypodermic syringe with you?
Of course, I always travel with one.
Quite so. Will you tell me then, Doctor, where that syringe is now?
It's in my bag in my room.
Mr. Lombard, Mr. Bloor, will you please attend to Mrs. Brent? Dr. Armstrong and I will go upstairs for her bag. I'll do it, if you don't mind, Doctor.
Of course.
No syringe.
Someone must have taken it then. I know it was there yesterday.
I also see a few instruments in here, including a small scalpel. Doctor, what drugs do you have with you?
Only sulfur tablets, aspirin, and my sleeping mixture, which I take myself sometimes. Nothing poisonous.
I have some sleeping tablets and other mundane pills, potentially lethal in an overdose. I suggest we lock these and all known weapons away for safekeeping.
What are you getting at?
Anything else considered dangerous should be locked up and secured in a safe place. Additionally, we should each submit to a search of ourselves and of our luggage.
Sounds like you've got it all figured out.
Speaking of weapons, where's that revolver of yours, Lombard?
Right here. I mean, it was right here.
Convenient.
I suggest we each take turns searching one another.
Right.
Watching.
Sorry.
Men pat down the men, women the women.
I'm satisfied.
Me too.
Thank you all. We're now sure there are no lethal drugs or weapons in the possession of any of us five. We will now place the drugs in a safe place. This chest here will serve a purpose. Don't forget the axe. Of course.
What about the knives in the kitchen?
I'll get them.
Lombard, go with him.
We brought the forks even.
There. Now everything dangerous in the house is locked up.
But you have the key. That means you have access to the drugs and weapons.
Does anyone object to Miss Claythorne holding the key?
You know, this effort is a waste of time since that revolver is still missing.
Lombard, when did you see it last?
It was on my nightstand when I went to bed, ready in case anything happened.
It has to be somewhere in the house.
Well, whoever has the gun has had enough time to find a suitable hiding place for it. I don't think we'll find it easily.
Then what do we do now?
I think it's time we all spoke plainly. Our fates, I suspect, depend upon it. And I also suspect each of us has not been so forthcoming with our information. So I wish to address the accusation against me in the matter of Edward Seaton. Mr. Owen's accusation was perfectly true. Edward Seaton was innocent. I had nothing against him, but his defending counsel, one Michael Sullivan, was a professional rival of mine. Even though I knew his client was innocent, I wanted Sullivan to lose. Which he did, and Seaton lost his life. Does no one else wish to speak? Our fates all depend upon our truths. I'm convinced of it.
The late Mrs. Cleese was a patient of mine. I performed surgery on her while under the influence of alcohol. My judgment and skills were impaired. I suppose you could say I killed her, but I didn't murder her. I didn't.
Landor was innocent. He was framed by a gang lord who I took payments from that looked the other way. And look, I was just keeping peace, and everybody in my precinct took a little here and there to look the other way. I was doing what I had to do to keep innocent people out of the crossfire, so to speak. The gang lord threatened to report me to internal affairs if I didn't testify against Landor.
And he died in prison.
Of natural causes. What about you, Lombard? You left those 21 men to their deaths.
Yes, I did, and I'd do it again if it was the only way to ensure my own survival.
Miss Claythorne, you're trembling.
I'm just cold.
Well, we could build you a fire, but that would require you giving us the key, so we could get the axe and go outside and chop wood, since Rogers wasn't unable to finish the job.
See here, you're terrifying the poor girl. If you remember, hers was the only name that didn't appear among the votes of whom was suspected to be an Owen. Which means none of the four of us suspected her.
I agree. Mr. Bloor, are you of the same mind as the doctor and Mr. Lombard?
Well, if she was as devious as Owen, she would confess to any number of crimes just to gain her trust, but no. I think she's innocent.
Very well. If we are all agreed, our inquiry shall rest here. For now.
We can't all just sit around here in silence doing nothing. Please, let's look for that revolver.
Where could it be?
Perhaps the phone lines are working now?
I tried it a little while ago. The line is still down.
What about that man who comes here every day in his boat?
Mr. Narracott, yes. But who knows when he will show up.
If we leave this room, we could all die.
If we stay in this room, we could all die.
I could use a drink. Coffee. I mean coffee.
There was some in the kitchen.
I'd like a cup.
I'll go make it.
I think we'd all like to come with you and watch you make it.
Oh, yes, of course. This is the best coffee I've ever had.
I agree, I never needed a cup more than right now.
Where's Miss Wargrave?
That's odd. She was just behind us.
I thought she was following me. Of course, she still may be in the kitchen. Wargrave! Wargrave, where are you?
What is it? What happened? Shot? We didn't hear a gunshot.
Well, that was definitely a bullet hole in her head.
Five little roses go through the door. One stayed behind, and then there were four. I'm sorry.
So, finally, justice for Edward Seaton.
If anyone was going to solve this crime, I thought it'd be her.
I suspect the murderer knew she was becoming a threat and to be silenced.
Silenced? But by whom?
Shall we search the premises again? I'll take the north.
I'll take the south.
I'll search the downstairs.
I'll take the upstairs.
Hold on, just a minute. Someone ran by the window. They've gone around the side of the house.
Who was it? Did you see?
I can't see anything.
Maybe they went back inside. Did you see them?
He didn't come back through here.
He's made his biggest mistake, letting himself be seen.
Who was it?
It has to be Armstrong. She's trapped and she knows it. She can't get off this island.
Well, you better be careful. She's got the revolver.
That's where you're wrong. I've got the revolver. Found it when we were searching for Wargrave. Don't be stupid. I'm not going to shoot you. And I didn't shoot Wargrave. I was the rest of you this whole time. It wasn't until we noticed her missing that we split up. I'm going to go look for Armstrong. Are you coming or not?
I'm coming with you. Miss Claythorne, close the door behind us. Don't open it for Armstrong, even if she insists.
Do be careful. Is Mr. Lombard with you?
I'm here, Miss Claythorne. Are you all right in there?
Yes, what happened?
Will you let us in?
What happened?
Armstrong's disappeared.
What?
Vanished. Clean off the island.
Vanished, that's the word. Like a trick.
Nonsense, she's hiding somewhere.
She isn't. We've looked everywhere.
Maybe she doubled back into the house.
We thought of that. We searched the whole house too. She's just gone.
I don't believe it.
It's true.
No, the vase, I don't believe it.
3 roses. Armstrong?
We didn't even find her body.
What if she fell or was thrown into the sea?
By whom? Neither of us would have had the time.
I don't know. But I do know that it was your revolver. It was in your possession, and it's back there now. There's nothing to say it hasn't been in your possession all along.
We were all searched.
Then you've hidden it away.
I found it while we searched for Wargrave.
Why would the murderer just discard it?
He accidentally dropped it or threw it away, or maybe the ghost of Mrs. Rogers left it for me to find. I don't know.
The ghost of Mrs. Rogers? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Are you trying to make me look stupid in front of Miss Claythorne?
You don't need any help from me.
That's right.
None of this changes the fact that you have the revolver.
The only fair thing to do is to put that revolver in the chest with the other drugs and weapons.
No, this is my revolver. I need it to defend myself.
In that case, we're bound to come to one conclusion.
What? That I'm you and Owen? Think what you want, but if I were him, why didn't I shoot you while we searched for Armstrong?
I'm not the homicidal maniac here. You tell me.
I think you're both behaving like a pair of idiots.
I'll behave like an idiot if it keeps me alive.
You've both forgotten the rhyme. 4 little roses going out to sea, a herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. That's the vital clue. Armstrong's not dead. She took away the rose to make you think she was dead, but she's on the island still. Her disappearance is just a red herring, a distraction to throw us off the trail.
You know, she may be right.
Rather giving yourself away mentioning a herring, isn't she?
But don't you see she's mad? It's all mad. The whole rhyme idea is mad. It's like some horrible child playing a game. It's all got to fit.
Yes, you're right. 3 little roses walking in the zoo. There's no zoo on the island. She'll have a bit of trouble getting around that.
I think we're the zoo. Animals, suspicious of one another, fighting for our survival just like animals.
Okay, I agree. Perhaps we should have a drink to calm our nerves. I saw a bottle of champagne in the kitchen. We can celebrate not getting murdered yet. Come on. There's strength in numbers.
I'm not leaving this room so you can bash me over the head with a champagne bottle. No thanks.
Miss Claythorne, you're to stay here too? He has a gun.
Right now, I trust him more than I trust you. And if you come back and find me dead, then you know who done it, won't you?
And I'll be next to the lead. Maybe I should take it with me.
The revolver stays here.
Fine. I'll be back.
Risking his life for a bottle of champagne. He seems smarter than that.
What do you mean?
What if Armstrong's still alive, waiting for her next victim? Or what if...
What if?
What if Blore is...
Do you really think?
Owen paid him to be here, remember? And from his own story, we know he has no problem taking money and letting innocent people die. And we only have his word that he even saw someone running outside at all. I didn't see it, the whole thing may be a lie. He may have used it as a distraction to give him the opportunity to do away with Armstrong when we were all separated.
Do away with Armstrong. But how?
I don't know, but if you ask me, Blore's our only danger.
And what about you?
What about me?
You have a gun. How do I know I'm not in danger? Nice to be able to trust someone around here. But I think you're wrong about Mr. Blower. I still think it's Armstrong.
Did you hear that?
He must be the murderer.
Why would the murderer scream?
No, he was talking to the victim. It is Armstrong. I was right.
But where did she hide herself? We went over the place with a fine-tooth comb.
There must have been some place you didn't check, like a hidden passageway or something.
No, I thought of that, but the walls aren't nearly thick enough for there to be hidden passages. There's no place unaccounted for.
There must be.
Nonetheless, it's just you, me, and this revolver now.
What do we do?
We can barricade ourselves in this room and wait for help to arrive.
Of course, that fellow with the boat is supposed to come sometime today. Assuming there is the boat over this, I don't know what to believe now.
We should be safe in here for now. And if anyone tries to enter this room, I'll shoot through the door and ask questions later.
The storm is gone. The water still looks so angry. Oh my.
What?
On those rocks by the shore, it looks like a body.
Oh, yes, I see it now. Too hard to make out anything distinguishing.
My God, it's a body. Do you think it could be?
Armstrong? You mean the guilt finally got to her and she killed herself? Maybe. Or it could be a trap.
Please don't leave me here alone. You could die out there. You really could.
Vera! Vera, I promised to be careful, as if my life depended on it. Which I suppose it does. Here. Do you know how to fire it?
Yes. Philip.
Philip. Vera, there's something I need to tell you. But it will have to wait. When I leave this room, lock the door again. You'll be able to watch me through the window. If you see anyone out there other than me, anyone at all, fire a shot in the air to warn me. And if anyone other than me tries to enter this room, shoot until you run out of bullets. And for God's sake, don't open it for anyone other than me. Do you understand? Promise you won't shoot me once my back is turned.
I promise. Oh, Philip. Could you?
Oh, yes, of course, Vera. Don't you worry.
Oh, Philip. Please be careful. Philip. Oh, I can see. Oh, it's coming back! Yes, Philip?
The body by the water. It's Armstrong, all right. And I'm no doctor, but I'd say she's been dead for hours.
Hours? Then who killed Mr. Blore? There's no one on the island. No one at all except us two.
Vera?
Miss Claythorne.
Vera. Take it easy. Why don't you just give me the gun?
Don't come any closer, Mr. Owen.
I'm not Owen. I'm not even Lombard either. That's what I wanted to tell you. Do you remember the man I told you hired me to come here? Moss? I'm Moss. My name's Moss. See? Herbert Moss.
Herbert.
Moss.
So you've been lying all this time? Lying to me all this time?
I knew Lombard. He was my friend. Last week, he committed suicide. I wanted to find out if Mr. Owen's letter had anything to do with it.
How can I believe anything you say?
Actually, that's what I was just wondering myself. Seeing that I know for a fact that I'm not Owen.
Well, I also know for a fact that I'm not Owen, so it has to be you. There's no other explanation.
If you're so sure, then shoot me. You see, you have a doubt.
If you come closer, I will shoot you.
No, you won't. Come on. Hand it over. You can trust me. You can trust me. never would have guessed.
Philip? Herbert? I'm sorry, Mr. Owen.
Quite all right, my dear.
Sorry, it's my first time as an accessory to murder and all.
You did beautifully.
Thank you. There is the matter
Of blackmail? I promised you that if you assisted with my weekend of righteousness, that your family would never find out about your own criminal activities. I'm a man of my word.
and I thank you again.
What the law could not dispatch, we accomplished in less than a day. 8 corrupt souls have now met their maker. At last, justice has prevailed.
You know, the general was right. Now that it's all over, I am relieved, quite impressed even.
Impressed?
Well, yes, it all happened just as you said it would.
No, just as the poem said it would.
Well, yes, the poem, but not really the poem.
What do you mean?
Well, of course, the poem predicted 10 deaths.
Yes, 10 deaths.
There were only 8.
So far.
So far?
My dear, I mean, you were the only survivor of a well-orchestrated murder plot with the police on the way.
I don't understand.
I phoned the police this morning when the weather cleared. They should be here within the hour.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. I mean, I did everything you asked me to. I thought you were pleased with me.
Oh, I'm very pleased with your performance this weekend. There was the matter of your failure of 2 years ago, though.
2 years ago?
When you were responsible for the drowning death of my nephew.
Your nephew? I don't understand.
My name isn't Owen. It's Hamilton.
Cyril was your nephew. Then you must know there was an inquiry. It wasn't my fault.
My sister didn't blame you, but I did. I do blame you. None of us are innocent, my dear. And if I know anything about you, Miss Claythorne, all the deaths predicted in that poem will come true.
If you think I'm going to drink that, you're wrong.
No, my dear. You're the one who's wrong. Dead wrong.
I don't understand.
In a few moments, you will be the only one alive and left on this island, and you will have 2 choices. Go to jail for the rest of your life, or fulfill the poem's prophecy.
But it was all your idea, the invitations, the letters.
Those letters are from Owen, not from me. I'm a Hamilton. And of course, as Mrs. Owen's personal secretary, you made all the arrangements this weekend on Owen's behalf. Not mine. My name is Hamilton. And I promise you, the police will think I was a guest here this weekend, just like everybody else.
Hello! Is anyone there? It's the police! Hello!
But why? Why?
One little Rose left all alone.
She shot herself, and then there were none.
My